Alright, good afternoon everyone. This is Scott and welcome to the weekly trade report video for the week of September 24th, 2017. So looking at the Dow Jones index, we can see the market is up here just making new highs and still remains strong. Looks a little bit extended, but like I said, there's still lots of good setups out there, and so we'll keep trading accordingly. SPY, similar thing, made new highs, just kind of consolidating in a relatively narrow range right now, but still looks strong. IWM's up here testing its high from back here a couple months ago, right around 144, and looks like it's could break out through that, so still looks strong. Taking a look at the indexes or the sector, we got the IBB. This one is looks like it's kind of creating a bull flag, right? You had a big run up, broke out above both these highs, and so now it's just kind of sideways consolidation in a relatively tight range. So that's bullish consolidation so far as I can tell. Still looks good, and still lots of good setups in the biotech sector. And we had some nice winter in Fold last week, and then looks like CDNA had some after hours news on Friday, which is a current swing position, so we should have a nice gap on that one, and we'll talk about that. So the biotechs still look strong. Energy sector, I've been talking about this for a while. This has been in a downtrend for such a long time, and so now you're seeing the energy sector, it's been rallying for, I mean, look, this is what, 20 days? We got one red day out of 20. And so it's broken out through this important resistance through 67. And there's lots of these energy names that have been beaten down that are starting to show some nice patterns. So I still think this energy sector looks good. I still think there's a lot of names that are going to go higher. And it does look like there's a major trend change in the energy sector. Now, doesn't mean that when they get extended they're not going to snap, but they've still showing lots of good charts. And let's see, so one of those was HOS, and I know that I traded this one a while back, but you can see this one was a huge run, and then it had a big red day on this day. So this one, but I mean, it went from 3 all the way to 425, so I missed a big part of this. I think I made some money on this one, but I definitely didn't hold for even a fraction of this move, and I kind of wish I had, because this was a monster move out of this pattern. But I think that the energy sector, it could consolidate for a little bit, some of these names that are extended, and then continue higher. But I do think it's a major trend change longer term for the energy sector as far as the charts are what the charts are saying. Another one is, if you look at USO, which is the United States Oil Fund. Oil is right around $50 a barrel, I think, and this USO looks like it's trying to break out through this area here right around 1020, 1025, and so that's going to be bullish as well. So that'd be something to watch if you're interested in trading that. XLF, the financials, seeing lots of banks, seeing lots of regional banks and so forth showing some nice uptrends and strong reversals. So I think that sector is strong. There's many sectors that are showing strength right now, all across the market. Okay, let's get into some of the names that are just a couple of names that I traded last week. And so first up, Fold. So if we look at Fold, this one was a very nice pattern, and I was in at 1390, and I scaled some out, and I think I traded it pretty well. I didn't catch the top, but I think I traded it pretty well. So this is 14, right? There's your resistance, and it was showing this pattern. So I got in at 1390, and had this big run up. I scaled out half at like 1450, and then I held some and sold into this gap pre-market. And so I made some money, but you can see I had another nice continuation day, which I missed out on, but that's okay. I still made some pretty good. And now it's pulling back. So this Fold If this thing pulls back to 14, it might be a re-entry for me since it's solid support. So I think it, once again, you got to make sure when these things get extended. And this, what happened was they had news on some drugs, so it was a sell the news scenario where, there was a lot of option buying and so forth ahead of that. So someone always knows. And then when it gets up here, they're unloading all of their options for a nice profit, and then the stock pulls back. So I'd watch this one for maybe a pullback to 14. Could provide a nice bounce trade there. But that was a nice trade. Fold. Okay, CDNA. So this pattern is just a very reliable pattern. It's a bull flag, and this thing really started to intrigue me that's why I kept it on the watch list for several days, and because it had this resistance right around 3, and it ran up and it just kept pulling back, and you can see had this support right there at like 260, and just consolidating. Every time I broke 3, it would pull back below it. But this tight, sideways action was, it really caught my eye, because you can see back in here it was a similar thing where it had this kind of tight, kept testing that area and then finally broke. And this is kind of a similar pattern. And so I entered this one on Thursday for the 3 break, and it had huge volume. You can see I had 600,000 something volume, and it broke, and it had a nice run, and I thought this one was going to hold those gains and then continue higher. So I held my position, and unfortunately it gave it all back. Okay, so I should have probably locked some in, but it gave it all back, and so it pulled back, but the pattern was still there. And a lot of times you'll see that where you get these big wicks, and the breakout will fail once, but then a couple more days or the next day it'll actually break and hold. And so I wanted to see what happened on Friday, and Friday it did kind of scare some people out, and it pulled back, but then it closed back above 3, which is what I wanted to see, and it closed at 308. So I said, okay, I'm going to continue holding this one because it actually held. And as you can see in this whole pattern, it never actually held above 3. It always closed below it. So Friday it actually closed above 3, which was bullish. And then so, after hours, apparently they had some news, and the stock after hours gapped up to like 360 or something. Okay, so that's good. If this thing actually makes a move on Monday pre-market, and this thing gaps up to 360 or whatever, I'll be looking to scale out into this huge gap, which is, basically we got lucky, but the pattern was telling you that it was going higher. And that's the great thing about chart patterns, is you don't have to know the news, but somebody knows the news, and that's what creates these patterns. And so anyway, this thing, the next spot of resistance right around 360, and that's where it closed at, I think, after hours on Friday. So we'll see if this thing can gap through that and make a run. But anyway, if you have a position, congrats. You're going to probably make 15-20% on it. So that's CDNA, and we'll keep an eye on that for Monday. Okay, so let's get into some of the other names that were on the last week's watch list. So there's basically 10 to 12 of those a day, and we'll see. So IPI, another similar triangle, and this one was a nice breakout. Looks like it's just kind of consolidating now after this break, but this one does look higher. This sector, this fertilizer sector, remains strong. Another one in this sector would be AGU, and so this one also looks like it's continuing its uptrend. Brief pullback, but still looks like it's in an uptrend as far as the charts are concerned. All right, another one in the sector was CENT. So this one had a similar pattern, and you can see, kind of like IPI, had this triangle, and then it broke. Now it's just kind of resting, giving back, and then it probably, once it pulls back a little bit, what you want to see is it perk back up and then continue higher, which is what it looks like it's going to do. So that one still looks good. CENT. Okay, BG&E, it's another biotech name. So if you look at this one finally broke out through 80. So we looked at this chart and we said, 70 to 80 is the depth, and then you get the breakout, and then so the target would be 90. So this right now sitting at 85. Looks like it's just undergoing a normal reaction, and probably will rally up again. This BG&E still looks strong. Okay, let's look at ZOES. Was a restaurant name. Looked like it was kind of forming a flag pattern, but you can see how that failed because it, basically broke down. What you want to look for is this thing to consolidate and then break out through the upper resistance to buy it, but this one broke down, so no trade there anymore. It looks weak. All right, HPQ, we talked about this one before and how it was testing this 1950 area, and it took a couple of days. This is a bigger cap name, but it finally broke, and you can see now it's up here near 20. I still think this one's, I still think this one can go higher, so it's up here. It broke through all the resistance for multi-months, and so HPQ still looks stronger. I think this can have, maybe go to 20, plus 20. 21, 22, something like that. RMBS, this was a failed one. Had a spot right there. Broke out, but then pulled back, and then I guess it maybe had earnings or something. I'm not really sure, but it gapped down. So that pattern's broken. Nothing there anymore. Okay, AMN, Healthcare Services. We had the nice pattern. This was a nice pattern. I forget which day of the week I posted this one. Monday or Tuesday, I guess. But look at that. You can see how it broke through that resistance in those 3 days and just had a nice multi-day run. So this one, if you're in this one, I would kind of use as an average depth somewhere in here. So 37 to 39, maybe 2.5 points as a target. So nice move there on AMN. VCell, nice little flag, 450. You can see that one gapped up and went, and still looks strong. Plug. This is an interesting name. A lot of social media attention around this name. I do like the chart. It did break out through a key level, right there at this 250, and it looks like it's kind of holding above that level. It looks like it's holding above that level, pulled back there, but it's really choppy. So you get these big moves and then red, and then big moves. And so you get this big green, and it gives it all back. So very choppy name, but plug. I think this one does look like it's going higher, but just remember it's a very choppy name, and a lot of social media attention around it. So expect a lot of volatility there. DHI Home Builder looks like it's pulled back, kind of back below the 37. So I don't really see anything there now, but this one the spot was at 37. In the break of 37, and since then it pulled back, held it, and had a nice little rally, but since then it's given it back. So I don't really see anything there now in DHI. So nothing there. Edit. This one actually looks pretty good. This Edit Biotech sitting right here. Let's see. Yeah, right there. Right, so the recent high was right around 23, pulled back, and then now it's right there at 23 again. So I think this one, actually still a pretty good, decent looking setup there. I think Edit could break through 23 and go higher. I think that's a decent looking chart. All right, let's see. SCHN. Nothing really obvious on the chart. It still looks pretty strong, but nothing steel name. So it just looks okay. I don't see anything there now. But what I was looking at was this kind of pattern right there. So still a decent looking chart, but not great. Okay, Rig. Rig's an oil name, and like I said, I still think these oil names are bottoming out and turning up. This one had a spot. If we kind of maybe look at this key level right in there. Maybe 9. Let's test it back here, kind of right there. So 9 could be an important level to hold and then continue higher, but you can see the trend is still pretty strong on the upside for the oil names. Okay, IBP, really like this name for Monday. You got a clean breakout right there at this 60. See that? This candle wick here, this candle wick here. And this is in the building material sector. And so it's just sitting right below that 60 spot. So this would be a nice clean break if it can get through 60. And this one looks like it wants to go. So this one can get through 60. I think it's definitely worth a trade there. You can see a nice move through IBP. It's an A setup for Monday, a top setup. TELL, another bull flag type pattern, right? So here's the upper resistance, and then you got this kind of ascending triangle pattern. This is an oil name, by the way, and so I think this one, if it can actually get through 11, somewhere in there, and with some volume, I think you could see a nice move, just consolidating after this big move up. And so TELL still looks good. AKCA, another biotech, steady higher. So here was a breakout back here, and then you had a breakout through this recent high. So this one just continues to look good, this AKCA. Okay, EXAC, this one is not the cleanest chart, but does look like it wants to make a move, and looks like the key area is right around this 3150, and we'll just keep an eye on that one. I think it's worth a trade. Not the best setup, but it looks pretty good there. All right, BLDP, really like to look at this one, and what I'm seeing is just a nice little bull flag type pattern. Keeps kind of getting tighter and tighter with the sellers drying up and the buyers. So keep an eye on this one through a push right around this 490, maybe 5 area. And I think this one could have another nice push up. I really like this BLDP. Very nice looking setup for Monday. And I'll send out my watch list later. I haven't sent out the watch list for Monday yet, but I'll send it out later. Okay, GLMD, another bio. You can see spot at 850. Nice break there. And once again, you can kind of see on Wednesday, see that big break and then gave it all back, right? And then the next day it closed above, and the next day had a big run. So sometimes these intraday breakouts fail, but then the next couple days they actually get the actual breakout. So this was a nice biotech breakout. GLMD, nice little trend line there. Alright, BTE, just another energy name. Once again, still looks good. Trying to break out through this area here, 290-ish. Still a good looking chart, BTE, along with a lot of the other energy names. Juno consolidating, right? Big run up, another bull flag pattern, right? Tight range, sideways. So Juno looks good through 45 area. Nice looking bull flag pattern. Okay, LJPC, another biotech. Here was a chart pattern listed on the nightly watch list, and you can see how it broke right through that area. Nice run on Friday, so on some good volume. So congrats if you caught that one. And once again, for target, kind of use the average depth of the pattern. So I would say 30 to 31, and then add that to this 35 area, and give you like a 4-point target there. DWSN, I like this one. Keeping an eye for basically a 440 area break. I think this one could go. Beaten down oil name, and you can see it's kind of putting in a bottoming pattern. So I think this one looks pretty decent. Neo, biotech, and like the 11 spot, like I said, it tested the 11 break on Friday, it failed, and actually it looks like it closed just above that, but sitting right there at that 11 spot, I think this one could have a nice push. NEO, another bio name, really like to look at that one, through 11. Okay, AGLE, another bio, kind of once again, this kind of bull flag type pattern, some resistance right around the 490, 480 area, and so keep an eye on this one for a push through that area, maybe through 5, could get a nice spike. This is AGLE. Okay, MTCH, so match, once again, bull flag, ascending triangle type pattern, and it's breaking out of that and looks higher, so that one still looks good, like it's going higher. Okay. Is it PSTG? Let's see. PSTG. Okay, PSTG, sorry, I was spelling it wrong. Yeah, so this one has a very nice break, and once again, I want you to notice, notice Thursday's action. Had the intraday break, and then it gave it all back and closed right back there. So kind of the same thing you see on CD&E, and what was the last one we looked at? The other bio name, NEO, and some of the other ones where you'll see the break intraday and they fail, and then the next day you get the big break. So this is a perfect example. Big breakout on volume, and then you get the tight range, and then you get the continuation. And so this one was just a very nice move on good volume through that 15 resistance. So congrats if you caught that one. That was a nice setup. PSTG. Okay, Boot. So this is a Boot Barn. So some of these retail names are starting to show some life again. They've been beaten down. This one looks really good right through this area here. Right, so look for this one to push through this, looks like around 880 area on some volume, and I think this one can test 9 or better. You can see the big run up, consolidated, kind of put in a base, and now it looks like it's ready to make another move up. And so I think this one could do 9, maybe even 950. So keep an eye on the Boot. Okay, CBK is another retail name, and I like this one through this 150, 455 area, somewhere in there. It just right in this area right here. So 154 spot is a key spot. I'd watch this one. I do think this one's going to go, so I'd keep an eye on that one. CBK. DIOD. Okay, kind of another ascending triangle type pattern. Broke this resistance right around 2730, and then rallied up, and is now it's getting in some like a tighter range consolidation, volatility contraction type pattern. So I think this one could do 29 or better. Make a nice push through that area. Okay, ENTL. So let's take a look at this one. Nice move on Friday on some good volume. And you can see it's been consolidating for a couple months. So key spot right around 18, which was it poked its head above that on Friday. So I'd keep an eye on this one, see if it can break through 18. It's a nice looking pattern, and for a target, use this depth here. So right around 17, maybe 1675 to 18. So what a $1.25 profit on the breakout. That'd be your target area for ENTL. QURE, another bio name. Key level at 9, and you can see broke that on some good volume, kind of faded back below there, hit some stops, and then closed right back up there. So if you're looking for a target, once again, here's your lower end. So I'd use 750 to 9, so $1.50. So I give you a target of 10.50 on that one. All right. Okay, GoDaddy. See the top of this wick right there? Testing that. Right. Tested it again. You got the kind of upper rising trend line there. GoDaddy through basically Friday's high would be a good trigger to go long on that one. So GoDaddy looks good for a move. And then finally, MPX sitting right there at this 16 spot. Resistance back here, resistance back there, and for a target, kind of use this area here, 1450. Right, so what is that? $1.50 target on the break of 16. Alright guys, so that's all I got for now. CDNA is current swing position. We'll see what happens. Should gap up based on Friday evening's news. We'll scale out of that, possibly pre-market depending on how it acts, and watch some of the other top names. And I'll send out the watch list here shortly. And alright guys, have a good rest of your weekend.